Now it's time for an always interesting category in Game of the Year. This is 2023's Game of Not 2023, comprising of a game released prior to January 1st, 2023 that either got a new port, an HD remake, or a substantial DLC in 2023. Our previous nominees in this category: 2016, Red Dead Redemption on Xbox One; 2017, Final Fantasy XII, The Zodiac Age; 2018, Donkey Kong Tropical Freeze on Switch; 2019, Resident Evil 2 Remake; 2020, Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2; 2021, Disco Elysium, The Final Cut; 2022, Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
We always have a miss. Every category has a miss, and it's just...
That was a bloodbath last year.
It was a bloodbath of you all being wrong. I mean, it was just so...
Yes.
And I was glad that I went almost like bruise free on the McGee mayhem this past year, because he was
kindest to you of everyone.
And in particular on this category, I knew he'd back me up on Fortnite. I mean, but... It was a hilarious bucket in Stanley Parable.
Well, that was the thing. What was the bigger wrong one for you? That this won this category, or that we were a hair's breadth away from the bucket being best character last year?
I mean, at least it didn't.
That would have been a crime.
That would have been
a literal crime.
But this category is the biggest. This is the biggest injustice. IMHO.
It's also I think. We talk. It's interesting that they're kind of run after the other, this and the ham sandwich in Game of the Year, because I feel this is also the one that covers the most disparate range of what counts, to the point where I think increasingly year on year we're having discussions about what is the future of this category.
Yeah.
Because the concept of a remake is not what it once was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because now remake as it was when we founded this in 2015 is what people used to do, which is we just basically put the old game into a new engine and don't add anything apart from that. And now remakes are fucking
new games,
fucking ghosts and shit, fucking up timelines.
And there's not as much of the DLC anymore, really.
Well, no, there is, but I just don't think it typically ends up being that notable.
One of the nominees here is nominated definitely on the strength of DLC.
They went ham on it, yeah.
Like, I imagine if any of us had gotten to Cyberpunk this year, that DLC, from everything I've read about, that
I
was
really
strong.
regret not getting into it, But fucking Idris Elba is getting you on short lists left, right and centre, lads.
Want to run through the old nominees?
No, I think I want to talk about Idris Elba for a while longer. I mean, if you fucking insist, I guess. Right, the nominees for 2023's Game of Not 2023. Dead Space Remaster. Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters. Goldeneye 007, specifically on the Xbox. Hitman Freelancer. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe for its DLC. The Metroid Prime Remaster, Quake 2 on Game Pass, Red Dead Redemption nominated in this category again for its Switch port, Resident Evil 4, and Vampire Survivors. We are fully refreshed on the wheel, so let's see who goes first and if I've accidentally fixed it. I swear to God. I swear to God.
Am I adjudicating myself?
The adjudicator has fixed it.
That's right. It's never been more legitimate. It's never been more legitimate. All right.
Too legit to quit.
Okay. I would say, for all the reasons we talked about in Best Disappointing, we can probably get rid of GoldenEye first, because we went over it. I think it's good to be nominated here because, hey, it's a seminal game they've made available on modern tech. Great. It's still massively disappointing, the way in which both versions were put out. So yeah, it's not going to hang in this extremely stacked category.
Okay. Next up is myself. I would have to say, by virtue of the fact that I think they did a really good job on it, but I think of all of us, maybe I'm the only one that's touched it. Barry might be the other one in with a shout. So I can't say I've played it long enough to fight for it, but I think it's really cool that they remade Dead Space.
I never got to it, unfortunately. Yeah, I really want to get to it, but no, I didn't get to.
And they to me anyway, and I know some people have disagreed on this, I think they did do a really good job of recapturing the feel of Dead Space, which I think when you remake a horror game in particular, I think it's the one genre that's like, I mean, we were talking earlier over breakfast about Silent Hill 2 and how they're clearly not getting what that game is and trying to capture the vibe again. But I think they did a pretty damn good job in what I've done of Dead Space.
I mean, I feel like it's apples to oranges, but I feel like getting that vibe of Dead Space is probably a lot easier than it would be for Silent Hill because, and this is, among the many reasons why Silent Hill has struggled over the years, is that it fit perfectly in that space of the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, where it took advantage of the limitations of that hardware to increase like the eeriness of it.
Yeah.
Where Dead Space is a more conventional action horror style type of game.
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably a lot easier to do a remaster of that and kind of convey that tone,
Perhaps.
But is it a straight up remaster? Like, does it follow the original kind of beat for beat?
I don't want to say for sure because I said the lack of time I've put into it, but so far, and it's been a long time since I played the original version, the version of it I have in my memory so far, it's been pretty much bang on.
Okay.
We've just redone it better.
Did that really need a remaster?
Stuck on like the PS3.
Right, it's one of those.
I mean, but it was
on Xbox.
It is backwards compatible. And actually, one cool thing is if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you get EA Play. Extremely rare EAW. The original 3 Dead Space games are still up on Xbox and Steam, so they didn't do a Rockstar and delist these games because they were remaking it. You can buy both versions of Dead Space, which is good. They haven't eradicated the original, so I think that's a. But that is a 15-year-old game at this stage. That is a 3-generation old.
That's
game.
also the kind of game that when I think of games studios should remaster.
Yeah.
Like in terms of maybe not so much the time gone by as you question, but in terms of it, one of the notorious things about the franchise when it came out that fans of it will tell you is that EA never really understood what they had.
No. Yeah.
Every single one of them was marketed fucking weird and every single one of them really underperformed, which is why they don't still make them. So it was a perfect one to go, hey, people of now maybe try out this thing that was real cool back then.
Yeah.
Mark, you're next.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I think just because it's already won this fucking award before, I'd take a swing at Red Dead.
Yeah, that is the most, and this is a good thing because it's pretty seamless on the Switch, but it is just a port. It is just that game again, minus the multiplayer, which is a shame because I did love the original Red Dead multiplayer. They did a great job. They should be commendable. Getting a game of that size and scope on the Switch is great, but I can't really sing to the hills,
It's less about the game and more about, wow, they got it on that thing.
Yeah. There isn't much of an actual addition, and this is a list full of substantial additions to that.
And it's another thing that's still you want to talk about, it's still available backwards compatible.
Yeah.
On Xbox.
Yeah.
But I do think there is still something to the idea of doing a successful port, even if it is nothing more than just
Yeah, I mean, that's why it's one of the criteria here, yeah.
Directly at Arkham's Knight right now, coming up for the Switch, and potential issues that game has.
Yeah. Okay, Jack.
Oh, okay. Geez, some pretty good stuff on here now. This probably would have been the 3 that I would have got.
At least we're all in in the kind of common consensus now.
Yeah.
For now.
The only one I guess I don't really care too much about, and it might be a real passion project, so I might be about to step into a absolute minefield here, but Quake 2.
Tell you what, that Quake 2... Fuck.
I think they did a great job on it.
Yeah, if I cared more about Quake, I'd probably
I think that's
the work on it is phenomenal.
They didn't do a great job. They took a seminal first-person shooter, which, by the way, this entire thing, if you own Quake 2, you get this for free.
For free on Steam and stuff.
Which is fucking unreal.
That is cool.
And it's on Game Pass as well. But you don't just get Quake 2. You get
Quake 64.
Quake 64. You get an entire new campaign.
They made new stuff for Quake 2.
Which is arguably better than the original Quake 2 campaign because it's got more kind of kind of taking into consideration modern level design conventions, the environments that you fight in are a lot bigger, they're a lot wider in scope. It's a lot more kind of action packed compared to the sometimes slightly more kind of tight, claustrophobic, kind of maze-like environments in the original. I'm not someone that played a lot of Quake 2 originally, so it was good to come back to this. It's, it's proper clean, proper crisp. Textures aren't blown up to make them look hideous. Everything's kind of chunky and gory. I think that Quake 2 package is actually like pretty fucking incredible.
This is the love Goldeneye should have gotten.
Yeah.
If there was justice
really
in the world.
If there
was justice in the world.
If they had bundled in that PS2 Goldeneye 2 with it, you would have...
Or anything.
If they bundled in that fucking unreleased 2010
well,
game.
yeah. I mean, if they just put that out, that's the thing, because that was such a cool thing when it did leak, But this is like one of the new textbook things of just the chef's kiss way you treat a classic when you re-release it,
Because if they had just done like, here's Quake 2, here's Quake 64, here's, everything just kind of like made clean
like
or whatever.
they kind of did with Doom. Remember they even
they
released
kinda,
Doom
like, put 'em
64.
out. Yeah.
And you'd be like, oh,
No, I
fair
would say
enough.
Doom is perfect.
Like
so
a
you don't need
Quake
to...
orange box.
Yeah, exactly. But like to decide, fuck it, we're just going to make a new campaign on top of that, and it arguably is better than the original campaign. Like it's pretty fucking bold. And again, to do it in a way where if you own the original, hey, have this.
That is very cool. Okay.
I don't know. I'd probably it's top 3. You'd have to like put a gun to my head to try and get me to decide what my top 3 in order would be. But I do think it's a top 3.
What difference is there in aside from the multiplayer mode in Vampire Survivors?
They've kept adding stuff to it.
Yeah.
But to be perfectly honest, I haven't kept up with it really that well. So I could, it's cool that they've continued to support it, and adding couch co-op is insanely cool.
Yeah.
But it's not a passion project of mine. I didn't stick with it this year.
Did you play any of the couch co-op?
No.
I played some couch co-op. It's good fun.
It's
good fun. But yeah, I wanted it on the list because I didn't have 10 nominees.
Yeah.
So like, and it's one because again, like something that adds couch co-op and something that adds multiplayer is like going to be very low on my priority list usually. Like we'll see that when it comes to my thoughts on the best multiplayer category. But yeah, I like Vampire Survivors a bunch, but I'm not going to fight for it to stay either.
I think that like it's the perk. I mean, I played a bunch of Smash TV back in the day, and those kind of like bullet hells that you can do as in that couch co-op type of environment. I think Vampire Survivors is a perfect fit for that. I should probably play it because I presume it's still on Game Pass.
Yes.
Actually, fuck it, I own it on Steam anyway. I think it's something I might try and sit down with Marie at some point. And because
did you do the classic where you had it on Game Pass and then didn't realize and bought it on Steam?
No. That game is like a $5.
I knew it was on Game Pass, but I bought it anyway for the deck because I was like, it's £3.
That's
like,
one of those where I don't feel too bad about double dipping. All right.
Okay, so we're back to Barry then, I think, are we?
Oh God. Oh God. Okay. Do like outside of the volume, do people like love the Mario Kart tracks?
I kind of
really okay.
I think this is do you know my comparison? I was trying to think of like my comparison for why Mario Kart 8 should be up this year and should be like, I think it's my number one with a bullet. It's like when Scorsese finally won for The Departed. This has been nominated 2 other years when it got released on Switch originally, and then when it started this.
Yeah, it was last year, I think.
And now it's finally complete. And the level to which you have gotten like more tracks, or as many or more tracks that were in the game originally.
Oh, more. It's
more. Yeah.
It's what is it? 6?
It's insane. It's 96 tracks in this game now.
And crucially, Funky Kong is now in.
Yeah. New characters. They have done the thing where, like, we were talking about it recently on Link to the Cast, and kind of like depends on your perspective on things. Where, like, I think it was you, Mark, that was saying like, oh, why did they do this particular track from World Tour? Garrett's perspective, and it's kind of one I share as well, is like one of the things that is ideal for them to do with the DLC is to rescue cool tracks from games that either people don't play anymore or didn't play.
Yeah.
And World Tour is the classic one that a lot of people either missed or didn't bother with. It's just, and everything is so immaculately crafted about it. Every track is so perfect. And now you have enough.
I don't know. I haven't played it, but I've heard it super mixed things, especially about the stuff coming off the phone. I've heard very mixed things about it, like visually, fun wise.
Yeah, like certainly like certain tracks. So like Toad Circuit in particular is just a bad track in general, but it looks very kind of flat and sterile compared to. You go back to like the first Mario Kart track. I can't remember what it's called, but it's the one that's like in the stadium and it's night, and that still kind of blows me away when I look at it. And then I look at some of the DLC tracks and it's like, all right, yeah, I can see where there's not quite the same level of craft, and that's based off of the Wii U version.
Yeah.
So not every track hits that high.
But if you're getting as percentage, like out of 96 tracks, like if you're going to one or two,
the volume is impressive.
I do think, and I'm in agreement with Garrett now that it is, I guess it's good to have those World Tour tracks in this package. I do think that it would have been nice, because it feels like certain particular games have kind of been left by the wayside, and I guess I'd have liked a few more original tracks, probably like more like based on like the characters they get introduced, like because when Link was introduced, there was like a Link themed track.
Yeah, and it was a Hyrule Castle.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they added Funky Kong and they threw back in the DK level from GameCube, which is a fucking, that's a fire track. So yeah, there's a few bits and pieces, but it's like really fucking like nitpicking.
And the way as well, like some of the older tracks, they managed to weave in like the anti-grav stuff that they, you know what I mean? Like it is the old track, but it's also very distinctly a Mario Kart 8 version of the old track. Like it's not just we're just doing it in high res.
The Bowser's Castle they just added in this last bundle is fucking. I think it's based off of like the SNES Bowser's Castle.
Yeah,
and it's got like
And now you could also like, if you hate yourself and your friends, you could do an entire like tournament of just Rainbow Roads.
Yeah,
that sounds
so
cool.
many of them in there.
Like it's so fucking mean.
Okay, if Mario is saying this is just not my wheelhouse at all, so I'll just ask, what's up with the Final Fantasy remasters?
They just ported them to console, and like the actual
what are they? So these are the first six.
Yep.
Yeah,
and they're not the like 2.5 Octa engine, but they are like I don't know if they're based off of like the mobile ports specifically, because they released those a fair few years ago.
Yeah, I remember those.
But they're really, really clean looking. They add in all of the quality of life stuff like the XP boosts, the turn off random encounters, that kind of stuff.
Okay.
So I played through 4 and I played a couple of hours of 5 through that, and I want to go back and play the others now. And it's just a great way to play those, to have them on the Switch. And I've bounced back and forth with like playing a couple of like the original versions of some of those Final Fantasy games, and it's just one of those things where time does catch up eventually. Like that first Final Fantasy on the NES is just impenetrable. So to have and in fairness, they've fucking repackaged like the original Final Fantasy, I want to say like 3 or 4 times. There's like a PlayStation release, there's a PSP version. I think there's one other. So to have just the 6 of those bundled in this, to have like updated compositions that you can switch between the original.
They've like redid the music, so they got Nobuo Uematsu to like go back through and like reorchestrate all the music. Because obviously, originally is like quite limited by what they could do in terms of the audio chips in the original consoles, and he's made these like more lush orchestral versions, and they sound incredible, like really, really cool. Like listening back to some of my favorite bits of music from 6, hearing it from the Pixel remaster, it's just awesome. And yeah, they haven't gone the like 2.5D kind of effect, but they have like it just everything is like enhanced. The colors, the brightness, the pixel, the sharpness of everything looks great. They changed like the text and stuff in the game and made it all consistent in the sort of like like dark blue, white Final Fantasy style and everything.
Yeah, because that's the problem with the mobile ports is the UI text is fucked.
It's not good. And one thing that I love in it is that 4 times. So if you just want to play through the game, play through it really quickly, play through the story, get into it or whatever, just to say that you've kind of done it and you understand it and you kind of part of it. 4 times is a great way of doing that.
Yeah. Just fucking speed up that game.
Yeah, you just blitz through it. Like if you're not, these aren't. You know, they're really old games. They're not like massive on exploration. There are things you can do and places that you can go, but the 4 times I think is great just because it helps you. I even like playing 8 on faster speeds as well. And I'm also the sort of weirdo that will listen to a podcast at 1.5 times.
I'm on as well. I've got into that this year.
Can't sanction that now.
But I will say this. I do think that like these are just console ports, and I would say that probably like technically like Red Dead on Switch is way more impressive than these. I think it's just nice to have these bundled on there.
I think it's the whole
Wait, so the Pixel remaster themselves, that came out so
the Pixel Remaster was already available on like Steam, so this is just a console port of like the
it's
PC.
a port.
No, because I was saying when you were describing it there, I was like, the work sounds phenomenal.
Yeah,
It's been done.
but
The work was already done.
There are a couple of like additional things on there, and for me, like to have these. I mean, in fairness, like, you know, I had the Steam Deck, so I can play them on there anyway. But just to have them on Switch, it's the perfect platform for them. I don't think this wins. But for me personally, because I've always wanted to play through those early Final Fantasies, and this, I mean, whether I played them on the Steam Deck or the Switch, it doesn't really matter now.
Yeah.
But they look really good. They're really nice to look at, and but I don't think it wins.
Question is, what do you want to do, Barry?
Well, I mean, I go to Jack. Like, where are you at in terms of?
There's probably 3 things on here that I would have over the Final Fantasy.
So it goes down.
Stone.
With that Final Fantasy.
But it's really good they're there. And it comes back to like the thing I said at the time, I think we spoke about it, or maybe Final Fantasy 16. It's like, you have this engine. Why spend an obscene amount of money trying to hit like a sales target? Just do the next Final Fantasy in this engine. You have this fucking engine. Do your other one after that? Go and do your fucking big spectacle Game of Thrones knockoff. But you got this fucking engine. Why wouldn't you just do a Final Fantasy in this engine?
Thank you.
It's just, I don't know.
Okay, I'm up next.
Dave.
Again, like I'm going with time spent. Maybe I'll go Metroid now.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I didn't touch this.
Because it's like Metroid Prime. It's Metroid Prime, and Metroid Prime is class.
Yeah.
But like compared to the like when I look at what was added and done to the other ones left on the list, it's maybe the one where I'm not impressed by it.
I mean, like, there's not much they really had to do to it.
Yeah, exactly.
Like the obvious most crucial thing is take that GameCube control scheme and apply it to
normal person controller.
Normal person controls, and they do that. And because like Metroid Prime is a really weird game in that it's a first person shooter, but it doesn't behave like a first person shooter. And applying it to like modern control scheme, kind of, it slightly tweaks the way that it feels. But it definitely makes it feel a lot more approachable than like, because I've tried a bunch of times to play that through emulation, and it's just fucking impossible because that control scheme just does not work with anything that I've tried to do to it.
With my brain.
Yeah. But just as soon as I was playing it on the Switch, it just felt right. It's like, okay, this works. This makes sense.
Home.
And then, I'd go and like read about the fucking GoldenEye Switch port, and I was like, how did we get here?
It looks real good.
It looks. I mean, the original still looks great, and they obviously they cleaned it up. Like the way the rain drops on the visor, just mwah.
Yep.
The biggest problem with the game, or the remaster, isn't actually the remaster, is that this game coming out in 2023 highlights certain issues that the original actually has in its level design, because you go through that lava section about 400 fucking times, and it's like, look, if you're not going to have a fast travel, which the game is actively like, no, you want to get from point A to point B, you got to figure out how to get there, and if you need to get back for whatever reason, you got to figure out how to get back and maybe find like a different way. That's fine. But if you're going to make me do that, you got to find me a way where I don't have to go through this one specific section 400 times, and that is like the big crux of the big issue that I have with it. And also, like, to unlock like the last bit of the game, you have these hidden tokens or whatever the fuck they're called that are like, there's no kind of like clear there's no like on-screen map thing that kind of tells you like where they're located or gives you any kind of like hints like that. So when you get to that part of the game, it becomes very difficult to like determine like, okay, how the fuck do I actually finish it off? And that's kind of like when the Wind Waker remaster came out, they made a few substantial changes to that in terms of like the Triforce quest system, because in the original it was very much we were meant to have like 2 temples here, but we didn't have fucking time, so go on a fetch quest for an hour. And they didn't fix it, but they made improvements to make that a lot more streamlined in that process. I don't know if like a fast travel system is the way that they sort of fixed it, but there's something in there where there is a quality of life feature that is missing that would not fix, but improve like the kind of core issue that original Metroid Prime has, which becomes more apparent in 2023. So I think, you know, it's a sick as fuck game. The remaster is awesome. Metroid Prime 4, maybe sometime soon. Who knows?
It's not real.
But also,
they said it was real, Dave.
It's like the Hollow Knight DLC. It's not happening.
That's not Hollow Knight DLC. That's just a new Hollow Knight.
Hollow Knight, sorry.
But
it doesn't matter what it is. It's not real.
But it also doesn't win this category for me. So,
Yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Still with you, Mark, I believe next.
Yep.
oh Jesus. I mean, you know, I know like how this is going to go, but I want to have the conversation. Actually, I mean, fuck it. I'm not kicking it off, but let's just start talking about Resident Evil 4, see where you guys are with it, and go from there.
The thing about Resident Evil 4, and the thing about this category, and we've talked about the limitations of it, is that I feel like it's almost unfair to these other games, because with Resident Evil 4 being locked, it is one of the best games of the year, period, overall, that is now competing with, like, chunks of other games. Do you know what I mean? It's like a whole ass new 10 out of 10 game versus like just the tracks from Mario Kart and the changes to Quake and so on and so forth. They built that game from scratch, and they simultaneously they walked that extremely difficult line. I can almost give you the sales pitch for RE2 with this one. They walked that line where they honored the spirit of the original, but they modernized it for a game that it's the original game changed the way we play fucking third-person shooters, more so than its influence on action was probably more than its influence on horror when you really think about it, because every game had the RE4 aiming after that, and now it came back around, and it came at it in this way that it's still very actiony and it's still very RE4, but the best way I would describe it is this is more of a sequel to RE2. That's how unique it kind of is, because it's following on that lineage of RE2, we make RE3, we make RE4, we make. So this is a more horror-y game than the original RE4, but it's splitting that balance quite well with the action leanings of the original. They made some really subtle, but I think really good changes to the story. Obviously, they made the writing of Ashley a little less unbearable and a little bit more likable.
A little less problematic.
They also, this is
My
one of
favorite
those,
Elvis song.
this is one of those.
I was thinking as well. A little more action. Was there a little more action, Barry, in the game?
What do you mean?
Well, it was a little less problematic.
They're just having an Elvis bit here, don't worry.
Oh, okay.
Don't mind us, we're fools.
This is one of those. They kind of trimmed some of the fat as well on the story, because like one of the things people pointed out quickly after release was like there's a whole like boss fight that's omitted, and I'm kind of like, it's good, and it didn't help the pacing of the story, and I'm kind of like, I really appreciate them having a little bit of editorial kind of like, let's go in and let's actually focus this thing where it needs to be focused.
You know what? More games should have that.
Yeah, it's like, it's honestly, it's just kind of like, well, the original game had this, so we gotta just have this section in there. It's like that weird. It's like it's like the bottom least most memorable boss from that game. It's not the giant. It's not the regenerators. It's that weird bug thing where you're moving the crates. That section sucks in the original game. Like, I don't like it at all. It's one of the best looking games of the year, like recreating those iconic locations, like the village with the guy burning in the middle of it, the castle, which is one of my favorite video game locations ever, the castle from RE4, with all the creepy monks with their hoods up, recreated that in, blistering 4K in that RE engine, which is so gorgeous.
I guess it's probably occurred to everybody by now, but this is the one that's making us rethink this category.
Yes, yeah, because my thing is like, this is a new game. Like you could do those, like you can do side by side comparisons with, and I've watched side by side comparisons of Metroid Prime, where it's like, wow, it's incredible how much better this new one looks as people play through the level, and it's the same level, and you're looking at the new side of the screen, and it's like, wow, it looks incredible. You can't really do that with this game, because even though it follows the basic plot structure and a lot of the iconic locations are recreated, it's everything is new. They rewrote it, they reanimated it. It's a new engine. It plays differently. It's voiced differently. It's written differently. It is a remake in the true sense of that word when you talk about remaking a film, in that it's new people came along with new tech and did this game all over again, following the beats and the spirit of the original.
It's kind of the Scott Pilgrim animated series thing.
Yeah.
It's Scott Pilgrim, but like very quickly, it's not the comics. It's not the movie.
Pilgrim.
Yeah.
So that's RE4. I think would it be top 3 overall for the year for me? I don't know. And not just this category. I mean, overall, if I'm listing my games, I'd say it would probably be my top 5 of the year. It's phenomenal.
It's your top 1 in this category.
To be my top 1 in this category for sure. Even though, and like I said, because it's tough, because it's like it's the whole last new game. It's whereas you're kind of looking at these other things as these little additions to existing games, whereas this thing is its own whole new thing. It's extremely tough, but this would be my number 1 in this category.
Jack, I'm going to presume Freelancer is your number 1 in this category.
Yeah, it is. I spent a lot of time playing it. I think it's great.
I really like this mode. I think it's a great addition. Again, as I think we've spoken about with Hitman in the past, it's like, they didn't need to do this.
They always don't need to do things.
Yeah,
I mean, the thing is,
coming along today and picking up that trilogy package is like some of the most bang for your buck.
It was like 30 quid in the last Steam sale. I'm like,
That's insane.
Man. I didn't double dip because I was like, I just don't have the budget, but I was thinking about it.
Yeah. And so, obviously you get so used to how the structure of the regular Hitman levels work when you're playing through the series. Like when you play through the levels, I played through them many, many times, and understanding where things are and what things are like to do with the targets, how you bring them out to different things. And then all of a sudden, this roguelike version of Hitman pops up where every single time you do it, it regenerates where the targets are. It rewards you for doing different things in the level. Like, you're not just killing the targets. They'll be like, right, well, you get points if you, I don't know, knock X amount of guards out, or you shoot this person, or you kill somebody with an accident, or all of that kind of stuff. And it just means that you don't have the same thoughts and planning every time you go into it. You get like from what you're given, and then obviously like you start with no gear. You have to gradually unlock all the gear. You can either buy it in the levels from like the sort of like shady supplier people. The one that really makes me laugh is like on Haven Island, the sort of like, very seaside-y island in the middle of paradise kind of location. The person that sells you the weapons is just a woman standing in one of the like beachside showers in a bikini, and I'm like, where the fuck is she putting all these weapons? Like, I have no idea where they are. But you go to these weapon suppliers and you can buy them, and then if you finish the mission with them, you can get back to your like headquarters and you can store them, but then you kind of might need to use it again for another level, and it really makes you think about what stuff that you need to get things done within the game, all of the equipment that you have as well, like the, things like lock picks and, stuff that the fiber wire and all of that you unlock. Every time you go for a full campaign, you do have to like then re-unlock some of that stuff, all the smaller incidental stuff, because otherwise it's just like, if you have the key card hacker all the way through, or if you have like the, lockpick, or if you have the fiberwire all the way through, it just makes things a lot easier. So that kind of re-challenges you if you play through the whole campaign to keep going and do a different twist on it. But you can unlock different guns as you go through. Just it's a complete subversion of the Hitman formula. And every time you play it, you get a different experience, which is just really, really cool, considering the engines of how these levels work and how one particular style Hitman games have been before.
It's the most you have to know these levels.
Yes, it's
but then
hard.
you learn, though.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, of
the
course.
thing.
That's the thing, of course.
It teaches you more about the environments.
Sure. Because you end up in situations that you wouldn't end up in before
100%,
because of the layouts.
And I think it makes you go back to levels that maybe you don't necessarily think, I don't normally go back and replay this or whatever, but it gives you like a new lease of life on that. And I mean, I still hate the militia section so much in Colorado. And when I see that come up in the campaign, because you can choose a list of campaigns, so it will tell you like what locations that you go to, and you get like 6 options in the files, and anytime Colorado comes up, I'm like, oh god, I can't do Colorado again, because if it's like just kill one person, it's fine, but sometimes it'll be like kill 4 people or something in the level, and get out, and to get like the bonus coins, you need to not be seen by anyone, which in Colorado is like next to impossible.
It's impossible.
Yeah, exactly. So there are you do still have an element of choice, but it has made me kind of change my mind on some of the levels and kind of revisit them a little bit and think to myself, actually, this is pretty cool. Like Bangkok, the hotel and stuff, the way the targets were in that originally, they have one on the very top floor, Jordan Cross, which is a cool target, and then the other one's just a boring lawyer who kind of walks around, and I don't really like that as a target, and that kind of takes an edge off that level. But for me, like, you have like 3 or 4 targets dotted around that level now, and it makes you go into every nook and cranny of that hotel, and you're like, actually, this level's really well designed. They just did a bad job utilizing it with the original targets. So yeah, it did make me rethink a lot of things in Hitman, and it's great. It's really good, and it was fucking free if you had the game as well. Just here's a thing. Go ahead and do it. And lots of people, jumped back into Hitman and started playing it again. You saw way more people streaming it again. People doing like speed runs of Freelancer, which is so funny because so much of it is RNG in terms of what you get and like what missions and options you have in those missions and stuff, which is, it's, I watched a lot of kind of content around it and played a lot of it for the first couple of months of the year, but it's great.
Well, I don't know what the fuck you want to do because
I don't know. I as someone who loves Hitman, I will say this is just a personal thing. I loved the idea of Freelancer, I think, more than I liked it in practice, because I kind of, and it's funny because I did have Dave Scumming nominated for Moment of the Year and Baldur's Gate didn't make the cut. That's kind of how I like to play Hitman, go in, fuck up, and then pick up right where I was and go back. I love the scope of what they were doing, but Freelancer, for me, I was just kind of like,
I feel like it doesn't work with your style.
This is just not how I play Hitman.
I feel like it's for the hardcore of the hardcore.
Yes, yeah, which I thought I was years ago, but I very quickly realized I wasn't. Especially with
you had your first conversation with Jack about it.
I was like,
you're like, I know nothing.
And I kind of realized that with the elusive targets, I was like, man, if I don't have a safety net, I got nothing here. I'm so fucked. But like, I mean, it is.
It's like Gary Busey got away.
It is, yeah. I mean, it is an incredible, and like, I love the thing I actually love the most about it is like having that safe house that you can build up. Oh, it's cool. So cool. It's so well done.
And the more, like, the higher your level goes up, the more you unlock different parts of it.
Yeah.
And the more ostentatious Agent 47's fashion and fucking art tastes become. Yeah.
I was so excited when I unlocked like upstairs and you got to pot around the house. That was cool. But
yeah. And but I would say that the thing that I've liked about Freelancer is, normally, Barry, if shit goes wrong, like, you can save scum and you can do it. If you want to get like the 5 stars or a good score, but on this, if you get seen and everything goes wrong, as long as you avoid death, it doesn't really make that much of a difference, because unless one of your targets is like, don't get spotted or like do it in your suit or something, then fair enough. But if it's just kill these people and like, ones that are like, explode 3 guards in the level, you ain't gonna do that without causing an alert. Like, you can knock 3 guards out and then you can put them next to each other and explode them, but that noise is gonna bring more guards.
It does move the goalposts in a really interesting way.
Yeah.
So you can shit house your way out of a Freelancer, and I had to a few times, and it took me a few times before I managed to get through a whole campaign from end to end, because if you play like, your first one, you've got to do 3 levels, and you've got to do 4 levels, 5 levels, 6 levels, and to the end to finish it. And then I really, really like the bit at the end where you don't know who your target is. You got to suss it out from their tails, and they're like, right, so your target's wearing earrings, and there'll be like 5 or 6 different options, and then like 4 of those options will have earrings. Okay, they're wearing a hat, and then like of those like 5 people wearing a hat, 3 of them with earrings, 3 of them will be wearing a hat, and then there'll be like towels, and it'll be like this person always eats a lot, or like this person stress smokes or whatever. So you've proper got to scout out, because you'll see they'll show them as red on the map, but you've proper got to scout out and follow to establish somebody to get all the towels. And you use then the camera to kind of scan to give that idea as to whether or not, and you can zoom in and take photos, and that understanding that you develop, I think, is really cool. But yeah, you don't have to be pitch perfect on it. You can just fucking smash your way through these levels. Some of them where you've just got to kill one person. If that person's relatively close to an exit, you can just go run up to them and just blast them.
It was like, I think literally the first one I played, it was like I had to just kill one person, and I literally got to my spawn point, walked over, looked over a balcony. I was like, there they are.
Yeah. Bang.
Literally just dropped down behind them, fucking...
Yeah.
Done. And I was like, well, if this one's going to be like, I'm going to boss this.
And then the next level would be like kill 4 people.
This was unbelievably elaborate, yeah.
They're all in different parts of the map, and you're like,
to bring us back,
I mean,
Mark.
like, any 4 of these could win. I think all 4 of these are very viable.
I would say, like, if I were to look at, like, I'm kind of, because I was the Mario Kart defender, maybe it's the one that's easiest to pull off the list, in a sense, because a lot of the things that
I'm a Mario Kart 8 defender as well.
Are you?
Yeah.
Well, like, I'm thinking the things that we're talking about here were a gradual accumulation of DLC that was not just over this year. And because of that lifetime achievement,
That is actually true.
Much as it was my argument that I really wish it was a less strong year in that way, that like Mario Kart 8 should get flowers for being this unbelievable package, and the spirit of the award is very much to encourage the things that Mario Kart 8 has had like sustained new content for multiple years.
Yeah. But the other ones here that I think would be an interesting counterpoint. So Hitman Freelancer like fundamentally changes how that game plays. Quake, they did a whole new campaign and they did all of that stuff and bundled it together. Resident Evil 4, like from what Barry says, it's a full rebirth of the game.
They did Final Fantasy VII Remake, but good.
That is actually kind of it. Like, that is the thing.
They didn't mess around with the formula. Whereas this is awesome new content that you play in the same way, but it still rocks, but it is kind of still the same thing, I guess.
But if you were to get 96 tracks in one go, that would be too much. That'd be overwhelming. You wouldn't know what to do with yourself.
I wouldn't say no to it.
I don't think, I think people would be quite happy.
Yeah, give me a week.
God, imagine if they did that instead.
So I will
just track drop.
Because I was thinking about this like last week when for some reason this I was kind of really thinking about, and it's like, I'm at the point now where I've played so much Mario Kart 8 that I'm legitimately like, it probably is now a top 10 game of all time for me, because my enjoyment of it over the years has not waned in any way particular. As much as like I remember when we were doing like best games of the PlayStation 4 or whatever, and I was talking about how much I loved Rocket League, and that was my game of that generation. I was playing Mario Kart 8 at the time as well. And I'm still playing Mario Kart 8 now. And I probably wouldn't have played as much if they didn't have the DLC packs, because the core gameplay is still really enjoyable.
Be playing it.
Yeah.
But there's no way I'd be playing it in this like drip feed manner that they've been giving me over the last 2 years or so. And I don't know what the hell Mario Kart 9
can possibly do.
Yeah.
They've got the same problem as Smash. It's kind of like, what do you do?
Well,
next?
at least the one thing is that they can.
He's like, I like Mario Kart. That's the difference.
Agreed.
But they at least still have like the Nintendo Kart.
Right, which I think they will do.
And they have to at this point, surely.
Yeah, I think that's the last red button to pull on that. So, like, if you're, are you willing to ditch Quake over it?
Fuck, I don't know.
Because that's where we're at. Like, if... Because, like, I'm listening to... If you're not budging on Quake, I'm willing to budge based on arguments I've heard. If I'm standing alone on Mario Kart, but if you're going to ditch yours and stand by Mario Kart, I'll stay here.
The Quake 2, that new campaign, like, it's so Barry in particular, because I know you're a perch on for like a first person shooter. Like, it kicks so much fucking ass.
I didn't get to the new campaign. I did fire up the original campaign, and and just also the value again. Like the value is insane. Yeah.
But, you know, again, like...
Similar to Freelancer, it's like, I do factor that in. I'm like, the price is right.
But then
on
again,
this
also,
stuff,
you know, like the Mario Kart DLC, like the value of that is
that is one of the best DLC values ever. You know?
I mean, I'll go...
Not only because it's reasonable, but if you already have the Primo Switch Online, it's
you just
free.
get it.
It's nothing.
I mean, I'll go by my convictions of where I was, like, before we came into this and what I was feeling, and I'm still, like, championing Mario Kart 8, so I'll go... Quake 2 can come off.
Wow.
I
wasn't expecting
I didn't expect that at all.
I think that leaves us then...
That hurt. That
with-
really hurt, but it's got to be done.
Now, if I'm reading the room correctly, it's 1 vote, 2 votes.
You're both on the Mario Kart?
Yeah.
I think we're both on the Mario Kart.
If he
Dave,
moved,
I can't talk you over to Resident Evil.
that was
4.
the one I would have moved to. If I had no support on Mario Kart, I would have moved because
Dave,
I want Mario.
but maybe-
Mario Kart's my number one.
Maybe
I
you
haven't-
could move
I haven't-
anyway. Let me
but
tell
I
you.
haven't played. It feels like it's going to be like in 2016 with Hitman, where you hadn't played Hitman when we did Game of the Year.
Wait,
And
have
I
you not
was
played
like,
RE4?
What?
Have you not played RE4?
I played like the first 2 hours.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
okay.
Sean McGee is going to hate you so much.
Yeah. No, I want it, and it's one of those things where
I actually-
stuff just kept coming out, and like I
But you
want
had time to play 96 Mario tracks?
Can I just say, like, I obviously want Hitman to win this category. Right?
What?
Yeah. Okay. I do.
Fuck out of town,
I know.
you.
But also, there is absolutely no way describing what you've described about Resident Evil 4 that I would even think about countenancing putting Mario Kart 8 DLC tracks over it.
Yeah. Like Jack's turning heel.
It's absolutely not
But
even...
it's also one of the things about Resident.
Me and Jack are going to fucking Austin and Vince Mania 17 because I similarly, I kind of feel like the Mario Kart thing is so impressive and it's voluminous and it's great.
Ooh,
and it's
great word.
It's adding so much content to an already all-time game, but it's like. But what Hitman and Resident Evil are both doing so much more substantial stuff to their games.
Is it one of those things where, like, you know, we were talking about, like, when we started the Resident Evil, like, its suitability for the category? Do you know what I mean?
But
It's like, and
ultimately, it was ruled that
it's the thing. It's like, but that's the thing. Is like, are we being unfair to say, well, because it's like a new thing, it shouldn't have been in here, but we didn't give it the chance to be in the other thing.
It's
so we can't.
It's not my problem if neither of these games wanted to have Funky Kong in it. Like, that's just, you know.
Didn't get the Separate Ways Funky Kong DLC. That's not my
You
fault.
not seen the Agent 47 Funky Kong suit?
Yeah, you guys just haven't played enough games.
I'd go.
It's got a big barcode on the back of his head.
I've had since the start Mario Kart 8 at 1, and like I think the little bit I've played, I loved of Resi 4, but Barry's argument, if Mario Kart had been taken off the table and Mark had stuck with Quake, I would have leaned Resident Evil over Hitman.
Yeah, but
I've only because I've played a few hours of Freelancer.
Yeah.
And it's great, but it's more Hitman.
Yeah.
So like compared to the like
I made that argument for Hitman 3 and I was nearly crucified.
It's more, but again though, it's the same game, but it fundamentally changes.
does.
Wait.
But yeah,
The
Mario
Mario Kart
Kart,
guy
yeah,
can't
yeah.
say it's just more Hitman.
It's bad.
But also like
I can't believe these two. Do you know what? When he dropped Quake,
these men?
I can't believe it. Because these two are just so much more than that.
I'm not making his argument. I'm just saying that, like,
I can't believe you're sat on the Mario
In the
Kart
most
fence.
literal way, the Mario
Yeah,
Kart
it's
thing
very
is
true.
just
Yeah,
more
it's very
Mario
true.
Kart.
And you know what? Mario Kart is fucking great.
yeah.
It is.
It's
I
our
guess-
Resident Evil 4 any version of Resident Evil 4.
Unfortunately,
I guess the thing comes down to mileage is like by the time I finished Hitman 3, I was
Well,
like,
you can't do as
I've
many
had
miles
enough.
on those because they're not driving games.
But I was like, I've had the perfect end of Hitman. I was like, oh, I go back to Hitman. I was like, oh, this is cool, but I'm still kind of, you know, I don't have the graw to come back. Like when there's a fresh dose of Mario Kart, I'm like, fuck yes, and it's back on the rotation for like a couple of weeks, you know, and every time it's been like that. I didn't like. I don't know.
really, really like Mario Kart 8.
Yeah, of course.
It's an incredible games. I don't want anybody to think that I'm saying it's
I think
is
this
bad.
what I think this is going to come down to is if you're willing to sacrifice Hitman and vote for Resi Evil.
I would have to. Yeah,
because that's the way I think it's going.
I don't think Barry is willing to sacrifice.
Well, here's it. I have never wanted to be a spite voter, but I actually, after last year's Fortnite debacle, I cannot let Mario Kart win this.
Yeah.
And like I said, it's no
agree.
disrespect to one of the great DLC offerings ever, certainly in terms of volume and on top of an already excellent game. But again, what Hitman and Resident Evil 4 do versus what the tracks do, I think it's crazy. What is the spirit of this award, gentlemen?
Well, that's the problem we had coming into it. Is that I think going forward, if we had these 10 games again next year, after the discussion we're probably going to have after this, I'd say we wouldn't have put Resident Evil in this category.
And also,
I think maybe if I had played it like you had before now, I probably would have lobbied with you to put it in game of this year, and it wouldn't have been in that category. I'm not saying that means we jettison it now.
And also, you're saying, what is the spirit of this award? This is a game that is this a game from 2013 that is still releasing content in 2023. That is as much of the spirit of this award as you can get.
That is what we started the award for.
But it's just it's going against such transformative.
But by the way,
opponents.
Hitman was doing some stuff from on the 2016 levels, so that goes back.
That is also true as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
Still got 3 years on it, but yeah.
I know, but what 3 years though? Come on now.
A lot can happen in that time.
3 years between friends. But Resident Evil 4 came out in 2004
or whatever the fuck it was. So that's the real long game.
I can't wait for you to making the same argument about Resident Evil 5. Cannot wait.
I don't like that original game anyway, so
I
change it all you want, lads.
They remade. The thing as well that's such a big achievement Resident Evil 4 is that was already a beloved game. They remade it, they made it better, and everybody that loved the original loved it, and it's so rare to get that level of acclaim.
Now we're about to get to the interesting remakes. So they were saying the other day where it's now you have to try and make a good game out of a bad game.
But I feel like I've never played it, so I don't know. But people really want Code Veronica remake. Really, really. One thing I will say as well, just one last thing on RE4 is that it's made 2, 3, and 4 way more feel like they're from the same series, whereas you look at PS1, 2, and 3, they feel rated. 4 might as well be from a different universe. Whereas these 3 games are a super coherent continuation of each other. You play, you feel like, oh, this is Leon from that game I just played 2 years ago. That is a cool thing about this.
I mean, there's something to be said for those original games where you can see the technology rapidly growing and them trying to kind of make that change, that leap from 3, or I guess Code Veronica, to 4 is so this is a new series now, and then obviously they did that again going into 7.
Okay, let me put a pin in this. I will. This is what I'll say. Because I mean, I am of the belief that RE4 really is its own new thing. And it's going to be painful to see it not get anything in any category, but I think I would throw my hat on Hitman for this, and I think I would happily let it go to the people. Yeah. Because to me, I think
I don't want to go to another.
I know.
Yeah, but
it's 5 categories.
Here's the thing, though.
We're copping out at this point.
But search deep within yourself,
I wouldn't switch. I would sooner switch to Resident Evil.
Okay,
than Hitman.
well, yeah.
But you know what? I search within myself, and all I hear is a little wahoo.
Right? Yeah, I know. Wahoo is fine.
Okay, well, so switch to RE then, and I'll switch back to RE, and then RE wins.
Yeah.
I think it's a cop out to keep going to the bottom.
Me and Jack are on the same page here, where I think we'd be happy for either of our boys.
Your argument was I respect the hell out of it, and I imagine I would be sitting with you had I played it. Is why and I was ready to abandon Mario Kart because I didn't think I had the support.
Yeah. I'm actually surprised that we're having because I know it was beloved, but I honestly did not expect.
I also didn't think I didn't think I'd get Mario Kart this far.
Yeah, I'm actually shocked at that. But
when it was first, but to be cut, I thought, well, that's gonna go 1 or 2 more.
I will switch on one condition. That's Jack looks down the barrel of the camera and says, "Hitman is bad."
Going to the people.
I mean, that is chaos, isn't it? Let's just go to the people.
I can't do that, I'm afraid.
Well then, fuck yourself. Okay, let's do a vote. Start with you, Barry.
Oh, you're gonna make me go first?
Well, you went first in this round, so as if there's fucking.
Yep.
That wasn't a fart. I made that sound with my mouth. Hitman.
Oh.
Resident Evil 4.
Mario Kart.
Hitman. Yes. What victory.
I'm happy with that. Even though I would have loved RE to get something in these awards.
I have this great feeling that the other two games finished above Hitman.
I think that's quite possible. If RE4 is going to win this
by a mile,
I think RE4 is going to clear this. But I will say, so we've talked a little bit about the ambiguity of this category. Maybe going to I have absolutely been in the camp of this should be in just general 2023 categories. So I'm happy for some real ass DLC to win, like Hitman.
Do we make the addendum then to just put Resident Evil 4 into the last game of the year category?
No, I don't like changing it.
on promoted from the championship, but also then, like, if we came down to a squeaker at Resident Evil, no one voted for it.
Yeah, that's true.
I think I need to retire from the show because I've won fuck all this year.
You're Jack last year, or the Psychonauts year.
Yeah. No. This is me 2 years running now. All right.
Hang on,
I got nothing this year.
All right.
No, but last year wasn't too bad for you.
No, I got nothing last year.
Dave, let's call it.
Okay, so the winner for 2023's game of not 2023 is Hitman Freelancer.
Deserved. Well done.
More fucking free chancer over there.
I'm so happy.
What are you buying? More Mario Kart tracks? Excellent, stranger.
Oh yeah, spend fucking 60 quid on Res Evil 5. Go for it. Enjoy
Rainbow Road, stranger.
Okay.
Well, you could play Freelancer for free there, buddy.
I enjoyed it.
I've got a top 5 for you, pals.
Go on.
Are we ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Joint 4th and 5th, 10% for Hitman
Oh.
Wow.
and Metroid Prime.
Okay.
Well, I thought Metroid Prime might win this. I was thinking that would be the one.
Really? Oh, okay.
Third place, Vampire Survivors.
Ooh, wow.
People
Okay.
do like that game a lot.
Second place, Mario Kart.
Okay.
Wow, the people love the Mario Kart.
Yeah,
So I should say, by the way, the Vampire Survivors is on 13.3%, Mario Kart 16.7%,
Okay, so it's close.
and winning
Gotta be Resi
with
4.
30% of the vote.
Yeah.
Resident Evil 4.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Hey, the people speak then, and you know.
No, I'm happy with our choice.
I'm shocked that the people went so heavy on Mario Kart as well.
I'm surprised you moved in the end.
Oh, no, because I think
you knew
I was
the
having a
layup was
crisis.
coming. Did you think I was going to double swerve you and go
First
Mario
of all,
Kart?
I did think you were going to swerve me. I was going to I'm going to say Resident Evil, and this prick is going to say Mario Kart.
No.
But no, the real reason I was having a crisis of conscience, I was saying to myself, I was like, you were just complaining that this game shouldn't be in this category, like referring to RE. So I was like, let's be fair and give it to an actual cool piece of DLC.
Whereas I came in like that, and by the end I was like, well, if it's in here, it should win.
Yeah.
That's where I landed. Okay, moving on.